Hello, my name is Dennis Brooks. I'm a graduate student here at the University of Alabama in Birmingham. I am a tutor at the Colott School of Business in the Colott Tutor Lab. Today we're going to talk about performance measurement and responsibility accounting for AC 201. And you can reach us at Colott Tutor Lab at uab.edu, or you can contact us on Skype at Colott, C-O-L-L-A-T space Tutor Lab, one word, T-U-T-O-R-L-A-B. Anyways, we're going to talk about responsibility accounting systems right now. Companies, when they grow too large, can be divided into departments or subunits. When this happens, it creates a need for performance measures to evaluate each department's performance. This is when a responsibility accounting system is set up. It helps each department's managers control the costs and expenses that they are responsible for, and to help to evaluate the manager's ability to oversee his areas of responsibility. There are usually two individual types of department classification for this. Now, we've been talking a lot in the last few chapters about budgeting and talking about gauging managers' performance and one of the big things using the budget to get this that I'm bringing up is how we talked about budgeting is to get that cooperation of the people who are involved in that department, involved in what you're doing. That way they have buy-in, because they're actually going to work harder knowing that they helped come up with that budget than they are if you just walk up to them. And to use the example that I used in chapter 20 was I gave somebody $12, said your job rests on the ability of you to make me $1 million off this $12 that I gave you. You're probably going to tell me to do something unspeakable with my $12. But anyways, this is what we're talking about, is responsibility accounting. So we have two types of department classifications for this. We have an operating department and we have a service department. Operating departments perform the organization's main functions for creating revenue for a company. This is where your sales department, all the people who are out there who are actually getting the stuff done to make the company go. Then you have your service department, like human resources is a service department for an operating department. And they perform support for the company's operating departments so that the company's operating departments can concentrate on operating. So to help evaluate a department's effectiveness, it is often broken down into three main areas. A profit center, which incurs costs and generates revenue. These managers are judged on their ability to maximize generation of revenue while still keeping costs down. Profit centers are typically your production centers. Then B, cost center, incurs costs without generating revenues. These managers are judged on their ability to minimize costs. These are typically service departments. As we talked, not as in automobile service department, but as what we talked about right here as service department. Okay? And then we have investment centers. These incur costs and generate revenues. And it's responsible for effectively using that center's assets. Most companies keep a fair balance between actual cash on hand and then any extra cash they have. They keep some of it in cash on hand, cash equivalents, which means short-term investments, things of that nature. And then they have investment centers that they make money in, where they buy other companies' notes receivables, or they buy bonds, or they buy any number of things, and that would come from the investment center. And the manager in charge of the investment center would be judged on what we're talking about, on his effectiveness in which his center uses its assets to generate revenue. Another evaluation point for managers is how well they manage. There are A, controllable costs. A cost is controllable if a manager has the ability to affect its behavior and how much cost is incurred. Uncontrollable costs, by their very definitions, can't be controlled by the manager, but he can try to make sure he doesn't get as many uncontrollable costs as he possibly can. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to go up here to Responsibility Accounting Performance Report. A performance report that accumulates and reports costs and expenses that a manager or managers are responsible for, and compare it to the budgeted amounts that we discussed in earlier chapters. We spent chapter 21 and 20 talking about budgets, and this is where we're talking about where they have these reports come in. They want to know how good is this, sorry about shaking the monitor, they want to know how good this guy is at managing, or how good this young lady is at managing their department. And one of the way they do that is by running these responsibility accounting reports and comparing the results. So some of the expenses that they talk about are direct expenses, are expenses that can be directly traced to a specific department as they were used exclusively for the benefit of that department. Indirect expenses are costs incurred that are incurred for the benefit of more than one department. Now, we do a lot of talking about assigning these direct and indirect expenses in chapter 17, so I'm not going to recover these concepts. You can just pull up chapter 17 and review it. But the rest of this chapter, as I'm saying, covers areas such as allocation of indirect costs to various departments, responsibility centers, and cost objects using various methods. This is a topic we covered in depth in chapter 17, and thus I do not feel it's necessary to recover these concepts that we can already, all you have to do is pull up chapter 17 on the Colot Space Tutor Lab YouTube and look at chapter 17, and it will cover how you do the allocations for this. These are all of the new concepts that there were for this chapter. Everything else we've already covered, you should have a pretty good handle on. And so that's going to conclude chapter, I believe this is 22? Yes, chapter 22. And we're going to move on to chapter 23 here very shortly. And again, you can reach me at Colot Tutor Lab at uab.edu or any other tutor. Or you can reach us at Colot Space Tutor Lab on Skype if you would like to get a individualized Skype tutoring session. Good luck, and I will be talking to you shortly on chapter 23.